I think our preparation coming into Worlds was pretty much perfect. I don't think we could have prepared much better than we did. We came in thinking through like a bunch of different game plans, a bunch of different ways to like about how the meta is right now, and like because like every team sort of had like a definitive play style, and we were more the like kind of floating in between. We would try and cater our play style or like the way we played to whatever team we were against, and try and use the strengths that we had and the ways we found counters to their play styles, and like make that way into our draft and then use that in our play. And I think that like we had really good ideas for how to combat every single playstyle we went against, including Dignitas.
I'm pretty sure everyone would agree that the whole team was confident going into Worlds, like the whole week, even 2-3 weeks before Worlds. We've been developing lots of different strategies for Worlds, like everyone's god pool was kind of crazy. You could even argue that there's too many gods per player. Like we had a lot of strategies developed, like a lot of play styles. I think that's one thing we had over other teams, is that like we could play many different play styles. We weren't one-dimensional.
We hadn't had scrim results that good since, I don't know, maybe like mid phase 1 when we kind of peaked at a certain point. I'd say probably, you know, averaging it out over phase 1, we had about like a 75% win-loss, you know. Then after MSI and like early phase 2, we dropped down way down to like 45%. Obviously after that we made some changes, it jumped straight back up. And we used to hover around like 75-80%, but like pushing into Worlds, like 2.5 weeks out, we pushed an 85% win-loss in scrims, and scrims aren't everything, but when you're having results that good, you know you're doing something right.
Going into the World Championships, we definitely had good preparations. We had really good teams to scrim. There's always like a bit of a difference if a team is going to be good to scrim or bad to scrim, and I think we got really lucky with the way the brackets works. We actually got to scrim some of the better teams to scrim, like Renegades and Splice are two teams that I really enjoy scrimming. SK as well, because they always just try the hardest. So I think preparation-wise, it couldn't have been much better. We practiced a lot. We watched a lot of VODs back. I think we definitely did our homework. I think you can always do it more, but you don't want to get too excessive either. So I think we kind of found the perfect balance. Maybe it wasn't so much like the practice going into Worlds was bad, it was just more so that we didn't have a lot of practice with the roster because we decided to make the change. I mean, you're always nervous, you always have the jitters, but it's good butterflies, right? I don't know, I say that as like, I'm always nervous before a game, and then as soon as I'm just there, put my headset on, the draft starts, I'm just there. 100%, but of course the last like 10-15 minutes before a game, you always kind of get the shakes a bit, but I think that's a good thing, because that still shows that the drive is there, the passion is there. But I've also never felt this, like, I don't know how to phrase it, like, I wouldn't say, like, when I say I've never felt this comfortable going into World Championships, it's definitely not. I felt like I had a higher chance to win before, but this year I just felt really comfortable. I really like came to peace with whatever was gonna happen is gonna happen, and I was very calm about the whole situation, which I think was a very good thing. Like in general, like 3-4 days before World starts, I'll be kind of shaky or whatever. It only really happened when I stepped on the stage and had to warm up. That's kind of when it hit me. But I mean, everything up to, I think I was just super calm. And
what would be my, what's it, season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5th time, I guess, right? On the world stage, and like, I don't know, like, I wasn't nervous at all. It was really weird, like, I was really confident. Because our preparation is the kind of preparation that we had back in like season 2 Epsilon / Pantheon, whatever we call that. Coming into the tournament, we came in with like a bunch of different play styles and a bunch of different ways to play the game, and we just kind of had to choose whichever we would think would be the best. that's the way we came into this tournament. I feel like we were so prepared and I felt so confident in our drafting, in the way we'd been playing in scrims. So like, obviously like on the day, bit of nerves, nothing major though. Like I wasn't like super anxious or anything. I was just excited to get into it and I just wanted to show what we had.
Yeah, I think game one, we just came out swinging. That's kind of what we talked about. Like, we didn't want to play scared. We just wanted to be up in their face and stress them. We ran this like objective comp, burning comp, where we just had really good objective damage. Honda mid, Wood was playing Poseidon, I was playing Amy. And it just worked out super well. Like I managed to get some good invades, we got a really good start. We managed to snowball that. Got like a super early gold Fury as well. And then we just kind of got all the objectives. And that game was just very one-sided in our favor.
Fury down to about half, but you can tell they want the fight.
Variety up here, front and center. Emilzy waiting, and Deathwalker far away as he should. 45% on the Primal Fury. Rowe still getting involved. Emilzy here as well. Variety halfway down, but the frenzy is popped. That's a retreat. Some miscommunication. Team Dignitas. Big move by Rowe. Thor in the air. Down on 2, and that's going to be big damage. Kraken, baby. One for Rowe, one for Poseidon, one for Emilzy. Everybody eating.
Pittsburgh Knights 3 for 0, and they barely take any damage on the way out either. This Primal Fury is absolutely guaranteed. That ability to interchange your front line is such a very difficult thing to do at any year.
They pass the hot potato of aggro, and it works really well, and that's what's enabling him. Like I said, whether he's caught up to speed, whether he's not, we can hide that fact with their playstyle.
Yeah, but his build leaves him fairly vulnerable. It's not super tanky, it's his levels that's really doing it for him at this point. If Tricks just blink of ducks Rowe, they're good, but look at this!
Had no idea, Rowe from behind, Tricks tank all the way in the dirt. Good ultimate, we'll save him for the moment, and Vote says no way. Number 5 for Pittsburgh. Thor in the air, Thor on the ground, double stun. Harwin's down, Anorexia's down. Pittsburgh Knights, lucky number 7, make that 8, and Ryan, that might be game.
I don't know, Herwin did so much damage in that dead state. He put Rowe and adapting to slivers of HP. Now it doesn't matter for Rowe, he's teleporting back in. I think that PK can just outright end right now.
Can do it. I mean, there's no one. Trick Tank will be up in 15 seconds. What can Variety do? 25 minutes on the clock. Emilzy's there. Adapting's there. Vote's there. Deathwalker's back. The Titan kills Emilzy, but the Knights kill the Titan. Game number 1, Pittsburgh.
We did what we practiced. Our preparation went 100% to plan. I played Cerberus, which was something that I immediately, when they buffed Hero, I was like, I want to play Cerb. So we were able to pull out in game 1. I got given a free first blood, which was really good for me, so I was able to just dominate from there, I felt like. And I felt like when our weakest point on the map, which is me, is winning, then obviously it's going to be a good game because I'm confident the rest, my four teammates are going to do really, really well as well. So that game, we won, and we celebrated like we won Worlds because it felt like we had Dignitas' number completely. And I think it was Vert who like kind of calmed us down and said, you know, this is just one game. We have to play at least one more against Dignitas if we're gonna beat them. So
I don't know. It's just the first game is the most important one because you get so much momentum off it, and you feel like if you get the win, like you have the safety net of you can lose once, but you also it also makes you feel like you understood that your approach going into the enemy team was the right approach because you just beat them in the first game. So when we beat them in the first game, I was actually sure we would 2-0 them. Like I felt like, wow, we played so well, we played so clean, and I just felt like, okay, we did have them figured out just like I thought we would have, but yeah.
One thing that was kind of weird to me is when we won game 1, everyone was so excited. And it's not a bad thing to be excited about the game, but you know, it's still a best of 3 set. So I feel like a problem we had that set is after game 1, everyone was too confident. And going into game 2, I feel like we might have underestimated them. Because people felt like we already won after game 1, you know, like everybody was already celebrating as if we won the set, and I don't know, I just don't think you're allowed to do that really. I mean, it gave us momentum, but I think it was more negative than anything because I feel like after that game, we kind of underestimated them and it caused problems. I don't think that was positive at all.
It was just, we basically just got the late game right, and we were actually in a really, really good position. Something unfortunate happened to me where we were actually trying to force a player on the Fire Giant, and I think we just gotten 2 kills or 3. And I was zoning Cubofred, and then I actually managed to get a solo kill on him. And then as that happened, my game froze. And during the duration of the freeze, they were still doing FG. And then because my game froze, there was like hesitation, like what to do. Like, do we keep doing it? You know, do we attack? Do we leash it? And then usually during that time, I would have tried to call like, okay, this is what we can do and this is, you know, what we should be doing. But because my game froze, I was like, okay, we can't pause because this combat pause. So it was just a bit of like panic, and like from my end, like when I came back into the game, I didn't really know what was going on. I just looked at Rowe's screen, he was like running towards me. So I thought, okay, like we're going for a fight. And I just see like the Whirlwind of Persephone. And I was like, I see him start charging his ult. So I just ult at him. I'm like, alright, I'm just gonna go for it. I didn't really, that was an impulsive decision that like I really regret, because I think if I just held my cool and just waited out to like understand what was going on. But you know, yeah, it sucked, but that's what happens when like unexpected things happen, you know. It can get the best of you.
10% so far.
0 relics up for PK.
0. Not a chance. Variety battling it out versus Emilzy. 33% of the FG. Variety walks in. Cubofred relegated out.
Oh no! He lost the Kraken, but Cubo already done. Adapting's able to take him out, but Variety may have bitten off a little bit too much.
Vote continues to be the carry. And Rexy has a big turn around. 1 for the money, 2 for the show.
Fire!
3
They got it!
Anorexia!
Oh my god, that was so close on Fire Giant 2. Vote with the last auto.
We did have an unfortunate situation happen where we had a favorable Fire Giant fight, but I heard Kenneth say over comms that his PC froze, and I looked to my right where Kenneth is, and his PC's completely frozen, it's not moving. We're doing Fire Giant, and at that point, admittedly, I kind of panicked. I mean, I was pressing F10 to try to pause, and you know, any other day I know pausing isn't allowed in a competitive match, in combat at least. So I don't know why I was pressing F10, and that confused me even more, just because on the spot, which I guess is inexperience. I think I made the wrong call to try to fight. Just as Kenneth's computer unfroze and he ulted in, I was right there with him, instead of doing the Fire Giant like I should have been. We still managed to get the Fire Giant, but I think Kenneth and I both died, so it didn't really amount to anything. We weren't able to use the buff because we only had it on our 2 carries, I believe. So it was just a clean sweep. Nothing happened, and then we had the next Fire Giant fight, and off of that we ended up losing the game.
Well, I think in game 2 we got a bit too like off the plan in the drafting phase. Like, I definitely don't think our picks were bad, but it's just a bit weird because we just had so much success with the Amy support and the Honda mid. I felt like we tunnel visioned a bit, just for going with the Xingqian Amma like first and second pick. Xingqian is really good and he's like insane, but if I had that much success with Amma the previous game, why wouldn't I play it again? So I think the draft was a bit scuffed from the start. I ended up playing the Xingqian and I couldn't play the way I wanted to because I actually had a counter pick into Xing. Xing just, you want to be up in their face, stress them out, poke them, stand on that tower line. Sobek kind of denies that because when you get like within a certain range, he's just gonna pull you into the tower and you're kind of gonna die. Whereas when you play Kepi in game 1, sure, he can pull you, but it's not that, like, it doesn't pull you all the way back. So you can be a lot more up in someone's face, play a lot more aggressive. Can't really do that into Sobek. So I think that kind of ruined our draft, that one pick, and then also just the fact that we should have just probably stuck with what we played in game 1 because that's what worked.
So going into game 3, I felt like we kind of had to try and run the early game and just try and like establish an early lead and just try and snowball the map. We had a lot of global pressure, and I felt like we drafted in a way that we could just kind of run the map if we got ahead, like just a little bit, and we can just run the game. I wanted to go for an early gank on Variety in solo and you know, try and get like us first blood, because I felt like, okay, if I get that kill, then like we can run this game super easily. We have the comp to do it. We have and like that's what we practiced in scrims. Went for the gank, and I'm standing there behind the wave, and it's just not playing up. So I end up losing a bunch of farm. I fall a bit behind. Everyone else is even. Like we're still even in XP, but like I'm quite far behind the Cubo. So he gets like an early level 5 compared to me. They force an invade, I die, and then they just kind of establish a good lead for them. And then we do happen to make a counterplay, right? But at that point I felt like we were just in a disadvantaged position, and you know, we just didn't manage to play the map well enough to kind of get the ball rolling for us.
I think in game 3 that was like the least close. Like we didn't get stomped, but it was definitely one-sided in their favor throughout most of the game. We had a comeback place, but we never really managed to come up to like a 0 goal deficit.
And then game 3 happened, and it was all over just like that. I remember right at the end of game 3, they were ending just as I was spawning. The Titan was like 10% off when I had 1 second left. And because I'm Amaterasu, like I just didn't want to lose. I'm just sitting there like spamming my 3, like I don't want this to be over. But of course they killed the Titan, and I don't know, it's just sad. I've felt that feeling before. And it's a feeling that most SMITE players end up feeling because there's only really one winning team. And it's just like you tried all year for this one goal that we all had in common, and there's nothing left to do. Like once it's over, it's a single elimination. It's the best of 3 that we're in, and the game 3 loss means that's it. It's over for the year. There's nothing until March next year. So it's demoralizing, and it's just like straight up sad.
That's it. That's the first thing I thought. Like, oh, well, it's over. And especially because I was dead certain I was gonna quit and everything. It really, I don't know, I felt empty, you know, like I felt like everything felt a bit pointless. I just wanted to get back, I just wanted to get home, like I just wanted to teleport away and just forget about everything. And yeah, no, I was super bummed out.
After the games, I just kind of felt empty. There's not a lot going on. I mean, my first thought was just kind of, well, this is it. This is the year ending right here. And that kind of sucked. And then I kind of just looked at everyone else, made sure that like everyone was okay. I was a bit upset, for sure. But our families were there to support us. So kind of just looking out on them and knowing that there's someone there that's going to be proud of you no matter what definitely helped a lot. And I also think that, like, besides the drafting errors or whatever, I really do think we played our hearts out, and I think we put on a show for the fans, for our families, for each other. So I wasn't too upset. Of course, like, losing sucked so much and I felt horrible in the moment, but it didn't take more than a few days to like kind of recoup and get back. Now I just think of it as a goddamn, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is. You can't win. There's only one team that can win, and it wasn't us this year.
Leading into Worlds and even all the way up to right before Worlds, the whole idea was if we win, the World Championship, we stay together. Probably maybe even keep me as solo. If not, go to coach Rowe and we pick up another solo laner or a mid laner. But we would stay together if we won. And obviously that didn't happen. And at that point, I felt like we were going to lose adapting because I knew he was on his way out in his career. He's talked about it a lot, saying that it's going to be his last year and things like that. Speaking to him recently, he's changed his mind a little bit. But I still don't believe he'll be continuing with the same roster. I think he wants to change.
Right now I'm just trying to like evaluate the things I liked about this year and the things I didn't like about this year, and think about like how would I be happy if I continue playing, you know, for whatever team I play for. Like just trying to focus on feeling comfortable and feeling like it's gonna be a fun year, and then yeah, that's like kind of like my priorities, just knowing that if I could change one thing, I guess I would have wished that like the roster change we went through, I would have wished we did that at a more appropriate time, so that like instead of deciding it mid-season, that like at least then Zeros could have had an opportunity to go for another team, and we could have had an opportunity to pick up a different player and get more time to kind of mold into it and adjust to whatever changes, right?
So I suppose it's only right that I should address my teammates publicly. I would always address them privately and already have, but even including Zeros in this, I wish everybody the absolute best. I'm really excited to see what everybody does next year, and even though a lot of us are splitting apart, I'm just looking forward to seeing each other in the hallways in the studios, playing against each other, and just like shaking hands after a match, whether it's a win or lose. And I think all of the rosters that I've seen them, put themselves in and build themselves up, I think they're all competitive. So I'm really hoping that I'm in the finals and one of their rosters is in the finals as well. So I think that would be just like really good to see, because I mean, after a long year, we just became really good friends, and I just want to see my friends succeed. And this is a tough one. I really like the Knights. It's hard to describe, how good it's been without, having Alex, our videographer, beep things out. So I'll just say that I'm extremely grateful for what he and everyone else at the office has done for not just myself, but the team as a whole. I really wanted to win a championship, and I wanted all of us to have rings, really. It sucks that we weren't able to do that. There's an opportunity maybe to be able to do it next year, but who knows? I'm just grateful that we got to have this year together, and I hope to see the organization just flourish over the next few years.